Part 1. The Execution. The Galactic Council chamber floated in the darkness between stars, a massive ring of metal and light that had existed for 12,000 years. Inside the Great Hall, representatives from 847 different species sat in their designated sections. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some had scales, others had fur or skin or something that defied easy description. They all watched the human standing in the center of the chamber floor. Ji-hoon Park stood tall in his diplomatic uniform, dark blue with silver trim representing Earth. He was 42 years old, with graying hair at his temples and calm eyes that had seen countless negotiations. For 3 years he had served as Earth's chief envoy to the Galactic Council. Today he was presenting humanity's petition for full membership status. Earth had been a probationary member for 30 years, ever since humans had invented faster-than-light travel and stumbled into a galaxy already full of civilizations. Park's voice echoed through the chamber as translation devices rendered his words into hundreds of languages simultaneously. We have fulfilled every requirement. Our technology meets council standards. Our laws align with galactic principles. We have contributed resources, knowledge, and labor to council projects. Humanity requests full membership with all rights and responsibilities. The chamber buzzed with quiet conversation. Some species nodded their approval. Others remained silent. The decision would come from the High Council, the 12 most powerful species who effectively ruled the galaxy. High Arbiter Velthron rose from his seat. He was Korthax, a reptilian species that had been part of the Council's founding. His scales gleamed purple under the chamber lights, and his 4 eyes fixed on Park with an expression that might have been contempt. "Before we vote on membership," Velthron said, his voice cold and precise, "there is a matter that must be addressed." Park felt a slight unease but kept his face neutral. Nothing had been mentioned about any issues. His briefings that morning had indicated a routine vote. "We have received evidence," Velthron continued, "that human mining operations in the Orion sector have violated restricted zones. These zones are protected under Council law. The penalty for such violations is severe." Park stepped forward. "High Arbiter, I have no knowledge of any violations. If there has been a misunderstanding, Earth is prepared to review the evidence and make corrections. We respect all Council laws." "There is no misunderstanding," Velthron said. He gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed asteroid mining operations with human ships clearly visible. These images were captured 3 weeks ago. Human vessels mining asteroids in Zone 47 of the Orion sector, a restricted area due to archaeological significance. Park studied the images. Something felt wrong. The ships had human markings, but their configuration was unusual. "High Arbiter, I request time to verify these images and consult with Earth Command. If violations occurred, they were not authorized by Earth's government." "The evidence is clear," Velthron said. He turned to the High Council. "I call for an immediate vote on sanctions." "Wait," Park said, his voice rising. "Under Council law, we have the right to present a defense, to examine evidence, to have time to investigate. You cannot vote without allowing us due process." "Due process is for full members," Velthron replied. "Probationary members operate under different rules. High Council, I submit this is not merely a violation of mining restrictions. This is a test of whether humanity can be trusted. They have shown disregard for our laws. I propose the harshest sanction available." The chamber erupted in noise. Species argued with each other. Some demanded Park be given time to speak. Others agreed with Velthron. Through it all, the High Council remained silent, communicating through private channels that Park could not access. Park's communication device vibrated. A message from Earth. "We have analyzed the images. Ships are forgeries. Repeat forgeries. Evidence is fabricated. Do not accept any judgment." Park tried to speak, but Velthron raised his hand for silence. "The High Council has reached a decision. For violations of restricted zone mining, for disregard of Council law, and for breach of probationary trust, the human envoy is found guilty. The sentence is immediate termination." The words hit Park like a physical blow. "Termination? You mean execution? For a mining violation you claim happened 3 weeks ago? I demand to see the full Council charter. This is not legal under any interpretation of galactic law." "You are not in a position to demand anything," Velthron said. 2 security officers, tall beings made of what looked like living crystal, moved toward Park. "This is murder," Park said, his voice carrying across the chamber. "You know those images are fake. This is political assassination because humanity is growing too strong, too fast. You fear us, we fear nothing," Velthron replied. "We maintain order." Park activated his emergency transmitter, broadcasting on all frequencies. "To Earth, to all human colonies, to any species listening who values justice. I am Jae-hoon Park. I am about to be executed without trial by the Galactic Council for crimes I did not commit. Crimes Earth did not commit. The evidence is fabricated. This is what the Council calls justice. Remember this moment." The crystal beings grabbed Park's arms. He did not resist. He looked directly at the camera drones recording the session, knowing his face was being transmitted across human space. "I die representing Earth with pride. The Council makes a grave mistake today. They will learn that humanity does not forget. We do not forgive. And we never stop coming." The execution method was neural disintegration. It was considered humane by Council standards. Instant and painless. A device was placed against Park's head. He closed his eyes, thinking of his wife Sumin, of his daughter, of Earth's blue oceans and green forests. The device activated. Jae-hoon Park ceased to exist. The chamber fell silent. Even species that had voted for the execution seemed stunned by how quickly it had happened. The crystal beings released Park's body, which collapsed to the floor. Medical teams moved forward to remove it. Velthron returned to his seat satisfied. A potential rival species had been reminded of their place. The Council's authority had been reinforced. Order had been maintained. On Earth, 12 light-years away, President Min-ho Kang watched the execution live. His office had fallen silent. His staff stood frozen, unable to process what they had just witnessed. The broadcast had reached every human world, every ship, every station simultaneously. 300 billion humans had just watched their envoy die. Kang's hands trembled as he reached for his communication panel. He pressed the emergency code that connected him directly to Fleet Admiral Yoon-ji Nam at Earth Defense Command. "You saw," Kang said. "It was not a question." "I saw," Nam replied. Her voice was tight with controlled rage. "Convene the Unified Earth Command. Authorization level Omega. All senior staff, all military commanders, all colonial governors. 1 hour. Sir, Omega protocols are only for 1 hour, Admiral. They just declared war on humanity. They just don't know it yet." Across human space, the reaction was instantaneous. On Mars, crowds gathered in the streets calling for vengeance. On Europa Station, military personnel began reporting to their posts without orders. On the colony world of New Seoul, Jae-hoon Park's birthplace, citizens tore down the monument to galactic friendship that had stood in the Capitol Plaza for 20 years. The galaxy had executed an innocent man in front of everyone. They had done it to send a message about power, about control, about who ruled the stars. They were about to learn that humanity had a different understanding of power, and humans were very, very good at sending messages. Part 2, the Declaration. The Unified Earth Command met in a bunker 3 kilometers beneath Geneva. The room had been built during the resource wars of the 21st century, designed to survive nuclear strikes. Now it hosted 47 people, who represented every aspect of human civilization. Military commanders, civilian leaders, colonial governors, and intelligence directors all gathered around a circular table made of lunar titanium. President Min-ho Kang stood at the head of the table. He had not slept since watching Jae-hoon Park die. His eyes were red, his jaw tight. 26 hours ago, the Galactic Council executed our chief envoy on fabricated charges. Our intelligence services have confirmed the evidence was forged. The mining ships in those images were modified vessels from a smuggling operation, repainted with human markings. Park never had a chance to defend himself or us. Fleet Admiral Yoon-ji Nam activated a holographic display. "We have identified the species responsible for creating the false evidence." The Korthax hegemony paid a black market operation to stage the entire scenario. Their motivation was simple. They own mining rights to 17 systems near the Orion sector. Human mining operations were cutting into their profits. Rather than compete, they chose to eliminate us politically. Governor Kyungmin Ro of New Seoul spoke up. "What is Earth's response? Diplomatic protest? Economic sanctions? We must do something." "Diplomatic protest?" Kang said quietly. "They executed our envoy." "Sanctions? They control 8,000 star systems. We control 17. The Council will ignore anything short of military action. Military action is suicide, said Defense Coordinator Sang Wookum. The Council has 10,000 warships. We have 300. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours in some areas. We cannot win a conventional war. Nam smiled, but there was no humor in it. You are correct. We cannot win a conventional war, which is why we will not fight one. She changed the holographic display. A single word appeared, Omega. The room fell silent. Several people leaned back in their chairs. Others leaned forward. Everyone recognized the codename. Protocol Omega was developed 30 years ago, Nam explained. When we first made contact with the Galactic Council, our military analysts ran simulations. What would happen if the galaxy turned hostile? How would humanity survive? The answer was clear. We could not match them in technology or numbers, but we could match them in one area. Violence. She pulled up historical data. Every species in the Galactic Council evolved in relatively peaceful environments. They developed slowly, with long periods of stability. When they reached space, they found other species like themselves. Wars happened, but they were limited. Disputes over resources, border conflicts, nothing existential. Their military technology reflects this. Defensive shields, non-lethal weapons, rules of engagement designed to minimize casualties. Nam changed the display to show human history.
Humanity evolved differently.
7,000 years of continuous warfare. We had nuclear weapons before we left our planet. We fought 2 global wars within 30 years. We nearly destroyed ourselves 3 times. We reached the stars not to explore but to survive, and we brought our weapons with us. She pulled up schematics of human warships. Our ships are crude compared to Council vessels, but they are designed for one purpose, to kill. Every human warship carries enough firepower to sterilize a planet. We do not have shields as advanced as theirs. We do not need them. Our doctrine is simple. Strike first. Strike hard. Never stop. Kang walked around the table. Protocol Omega is total war. Not a war of conquest. Not a war of territory. Extermination. We identify every species that voted for Park's execution. We give them 30 days to evacuate their territory. Then we take it. Anyone who resists dies. We do not take prisoners. We do not negotiate. We continue until the Council surrenders unconditionally, or until we are destroyed. This is genocide, said Ambassador Taeyongshin. We will become everything we claim to hate. They fired first, Nam replied. Park stood there in peace and they murdered him. They chose this. Kang raised his hand. This is not a decision I make lightly. I have read every objection, every moral argument against Omega. I have lost sleep over this, but I keep coming back to one fact. They executed an innocent man to send a message. What message do we send if we do nothing? That humanity can be bullied? That we will accept injustice because we are weak? He looked at each person in the room. I am authorizing Protocol Omega, but I want every person here to vote. This decision belongs to all of us. If we do this, we do it together. The vote was taken by silent ballot. 47 people made the most significant decision in human history. When the results appeared, 42 had voted yes. 5 had voted no. Kang nodded slowly. Then it is decided. Admiral Nam, you have operational command. Initiate Protocol Omega. Nam stood and saluted. Yes, sir. I will need 24 hours to position our fleets. I recommend we broadcast our declaration to the entire galaxy. Let them know what is coming. Agreed, Kang said. I will address the Council directly. 12 hours later, President Kang appeared on every communication channel in the galaxy. His message was translated into 847 languages simultaneously. Every species, from the smallest colony to the greatest empire, heard his words. I am President Minho Kang of Earth. 26 hours ago, you executed Jihoon Park, our chief envoy to the Galactic Council. You did this without trial, without evidence, without mercy. You did this to send a message about power. We heard your message. Now hear ours. Kang's face was calm, but his eyes burned. Earth hereby declares the extermination protocol. We identify 43 species who voted for Park's execution. You have 30 standard days to evacuate your territory. After 30 days, we will take your worlds. We will destroy your fleets. We will erase your presence from the galaxy. This is not negotiable. This is not a threat. This is a promise. Some of you believe we are bluffing. Some of you think humanity is too weak, too small, too primitive to challenge the Council. You are wrong. You have never seen what humans can do when we decide to destroy. You have fought border wars. We have fought extinction wars. You know how to conquer. We know how to annihilate. 30 days. Use them wisely, evacuate, run, hide, pray, it will not matter. We are coming, and we will not stop until justice is served or until every human is dead. You wanted to show us our place in the galaxy. We will show you why humanity survived when our world tried to kill us. We survived because we are the most dangerous thing evolution ever created, and you just gave us a reason to prove it. The transmission ended. For several seconds, the galaxy sat in stunned silence. Then the council chamber erupted in chaos. Species shouted at each other. Some demanded immediate military action. Others called for negotiation. A few quietly began making plans to evacuate. High Arbiter Velthron tried to restore order. This is empty posturing. Humanity has 300 ships. We have 10,000. They are trying to frighten us into concessions. The Council does not negotiate with threats. We will crush this rebellion and remind humanity of their place. But in the back of his mind, Velthron felt something unfamiliar. It took him a moment to recognize the emotion. He was afraid. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Nam issued orders to every human warship stationed in colony. The orders were simple. Prepare for war. No mercy, no prisoners. No retreat. For park, for humanity. For survival. 300 human warships began moving toward Council space. They were outnumbered 30-1. Their technology was inferior. Their crews had an average age of 28. By every military analysis, they should have lost before the first shot was fired. But Admiral Nam knew something the Council did not. Humans did not need to win every battle. They only needed to win the last one. And humans were very, very good at surviving long enough to win the last battle. Part 3. First Blood Captain Hewan Lee stood on the bridge of the destroyer Retribution, watching the stars through the view screen. Her ship was small by galactic standards, only 200 meters long with a crew of 80. But it carried enough weapons to crack a moon in half. Around her, 46 other human warships waited in the darkness between stars, their engines cold, their weapons armed. Enemy contact, said Lieutenant Deho Lim at the sensor station. Korthak's battlecruiser entering the system. It is alone. Yuan felt her pulse quicken. This was it. The first engagement of the war. The Korthak's cruiser was 3 times the size of her destroyer, with shields that could absorb multiple nuclear strikes. By every tactical analysis, it should win easily. Battle stations, Hywan ordered. All ships maintain silence. Wait for my signal. The Korthak's cruiser moved through the system slowly, scanning for threats. Its name translated to Pride of Empire, and it had served for 60 years without ever taking serious damage. The captain was a veteran named Cormac, who had fought in 7 border disputes. He was not worried about human ships. His briefing had described them as primitive and poorly armed. Captain Lee, said Commander Jun-Ho Park at the weapons station. We have firing solutions on the enemy. Railguns ready, missiles armed. Hold, Huan said. She watched the cruiser move deeper into the system, away from the hyperspace entry point. Let it commit. The Korthak ship detected something unusual. Energy readings from multiple sources. Captain Cormac ordered his crew to battle stations, but he was not concerned. The humans were probably trying to frighten him. He activated his communication system and broadcast on all frequencies. Human vessels, this is the battlecruiser Pride of Empire. You are in violation of Council space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will be met with force. Yuan smiled coldly. All ships fire at will. Target the engines first. I want that cruiser alive long enough to send a message. 47 human warships opened fire simultaneously. Railgun rounds moving at a significant fraction of light speed tore through space. Nuclear-tipped missiles streaked toward the cruiser. Directed energy weapons carved lines of destruction through the dark. The Korthak's shields held against the first wave. Cormac felt satisfaction. His ship could take this punishment. He ordered return fire, but his weapons officer hesitated. Captain, which ship do we target? All of them, Cormac ordered. Fire warning shots. Disable their engines. The cruiser fired, but its weapons were designed for precise strikes, not overwhelming firepower. Energy beams disabled 2 human corvettes, forcing them to withdraw. But the humans did not stop firing. They did not even slow down. The second wave hit the shields harder. The third wave caused them to flicker. The fourth wave punched through and struck the cruiser's hull. Cormac realized with growing horror that the humans were not trying to disable his ship, they were trying to destroy it. Evasive maneuvers, he ordered. Full power to shields. Return fire with lethal force. But the human ships were faster and more maneuverable. They swarmed around the cruiser like predators around wounded prey. Every time the cruiser targeted one ship, 3 others would strike from different angles. The Korthax crew fought bravely, but they had never faced an enemy that fought with such focused brutality. Huan watched the battle with cold calculation. Cease fire on the main hull. Target the communication arrays. I want them able to send messages but not able to coordinate defense. The Retribution moved in close, dangerously close by normal combat standards. Huan's crew fired precision, strikes that destroyed the cruiser's external sensors and weapon systems while leaving the communication equipment intact. This is Captain Huan Lee of Earth Defense. Force, she broadcast directly to the Korthax ship. Your vessel is crippled. Your shields are down. Your weapons are destroyed. I could kill all of you right now, but I want you to live. I want you to go back to your empire and tell them what happened here. Tell them that humanity keeps its promises. Tell them we are coming. She switched channels to broadcast across the entire system. This is Earth's message to the Galactic Council. We said 30 days. We meant it. Evacuate or die. There will be no mercy. There will be no prisoners. There will be no negotiation. We are coming for all of you. Huan ordered her fleet to withdraw. The Korthax cruiser was left drifting in space, its crew alive but helpless. It would take them days to make basic repairs and limp back to their territory. Days in which they would remember how easily humanity had destroyed what their empire considered a powerful warship. News of the battle spread across the galaxy within hours. The Council tried to suppress it, but too many ships had detected the engagement. The Korthax Empire demanded immediate retaliation. Other species began to quietly remove their civilians from border systems. On Earth, Admiral Nam reviewed the battle reports with satisfaction. No human casualties. 47 ships engaged a superior enemy and achieved total victory. The Council is learning. President Kang was less satisfied. We won one battle against one ship. The Council has thousands. This proves we can fight, but it does not prove we can win a war. It proves something more important, Nam replied. It proves we are serious. Half the minor species are already requesting neutral status. They want no part of this war. The Council is fragmenting, and the major powers. The Korthax are rallying their fleet. The Veldran Concordat is mobilizing. The Thraxian Collective has declared us a priority threat. The Council is forming the largest armada in galactic history. They will come at us with everything they have. Kang looked at the star map showing Council territory. Can we win? Nam hesitated before answering. Not by fighting battles, but we can win by making them afraid to fight. Humans survived the Ice Age, the plagues, the nuclear wars, the climate collapse. We survived because we were more stubborn than the universe trying to kill us. We will survive this. Meanwhile, on the Korthax homeworld, Captain Cormac reported to High Command. His ship had been towed back to port, a humiliating display. He stood before the War Council and described the battle. They did not fight like civilized species, he said. They did not issue challenges. They did not attempt to disable us. They tried to kill us from the first moment. Their ships are weaker than ours, but they use them like weapons instead of transportation. They swarm. They strike from multiple angles. They never stop firing. Then we will crush them, declared War Master Velkoth. We will assemble a fleet of 100 cruisers. We will destroy their colonies. We will make an example of humanity. But Cormac shook his head. War Master, with respect, you do not understand. The humans are not fighting for territory or resources. They are fighting for revenge. They will not surrender. They will not negotiate. They will keep coming until we destroy them completely or they destroy us. Then we will destroy them, Velkoth said. We are the Korthax. We have ruled our sector for 5,000 years. We will not be threatened by primitives. Cormac said nothing more, but he remembered the look in Captain Lee's eyes during the battle. It was not hatred. It was not anger. It was something colder and more frightening. It was certainty, the absolute conviction that humans would win no matter the cost. Across human space, volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Young people who had never considered military service signed up. Retired veterans returned to duty. The shipyards of Mars, Europa, and Luna went to full production, building warships as fast as resources allowed. Every human colony prepared for war. In the council chamber, High Arbiter Velthron convened an emergency session. The human threat is real. They have demonstrated their willingness to use overwhelming force, but they are still vastly outnumbered. I propose we assemble the Grand Fleet and crush Earth before they can fortify their positions. Most species agreed, but a few, the smaller powers with less to lose, began to quietly wonder if maybe the Council had made a mistake. Maybe executing that human envoy had not been about maintaining order. Maybe it had been about pride. And maybe, just maybe, humanity's response was not insanity but perfect logic. If you show weakness in a galaxy full of predators, you get devoured. But if you show strength, even false strength, even suicidal strength, you might survive. The humans were betting their entire civilization on that principle. And as news of more battles reached the Council, battles where human ships emerged victorious despite impossible odds, some species began to wonder if the bet might pay off. The war was just beginning. Part 4. The weapon. 3 weeks into the war, humanity had seized 14 Council systems. The cost had been severe. 40 human ships destroyed, 3,000 crew members dead. But the Council had lost over 200 vessels and retreated from every engagement that lasted more than 6 hours. The math was simple and brutal. Humans traded lives for territory, and they were willing to pay any price. President Kang stood in a secure facility deep beneath the lunar surface. With him were Admiral Nam and Dr. Sora Kim, director of the Pandora Project. The name was chosen deliberately. In ancient human mythology, Pandora had opened a box that released all the evils into the world. Dr. Kim had done something similar. She had opened a box containing humanity's darkest weapon. "Show me," Kang said quietly. Dr. Kim activated a holographic display. "We call it the antimatter lance. It is a missile containing 5 kilograms of antimatter suspended in a magnetic containment field. When the missile impacts a target, the containment fails. Matter and antimatter annihilate each other, releasing energy equivalent to a 100 megaton nuclear weapon. We already have nuclear weapons," Admiral Nam said. "This is different," Dr. Kim explained. "Nuclear weapons can be defended against. Shields absorb the radiation. Blast waves can be deflected. But antimatter annihilation is matter converting directly into pure energy. There is no defense. One of these missiles can sterilize an entire continent. 3 can destroy a planet's biosphere. 10 can crack a planet's crust." Kang felt sick. "How many have we built?" 247, Dr. Kim said. "We can produce approximately 3 per day at current capacity. Does the Council know we have these?" "They suspect. Our intelligence indicates they believe we are bluffing. Antimatter weapons are theoretically possible, but maintaining stable antimatter in large quantities requires technology. Most species develop only after millennia of research. We have had faster-than-light travel for 30 years. They do not believe we could weaponize antimatter in such a short time." "But we did," Kang said. "We had motivation they lack," Dr. Kim replied. "The Council species developed slowly, peacefully. They built antimatter reactors for power generation over centuries. We built them in 3 years because we needed weapons that could kill gods. Human creativity flourishes when we are desperate." Admiral Nam walked around the holographic display, studying the missile design. "What are you recommending, Doctor?" "I recommend we demonstrate one weapon on an uninhabited target. Show the Council we are not bluffing, then offer peace terms. They cannot defend against these weapons. If we use them on inhabited worlds, we become the monsters they claim we are." "And if they refuse peace terms?" Nam asked. Dr. Kim did not answer immediately. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "Then we use them anyway, because if we lose this war, humanity goes extinct. The Council will make sure of that after what we have done." Kang sat down heavily. "I need to think." He spent the next 6 hours alone, reviewing casualty reports, battle analysis, and diplomatic intercepts. The Council was fracturing. Smaller species were breaking away, declaring neutrality. But the major powers, the Korthax, Veldran, and Thraxian empires, were rallying a massive fleet. Intelligence suggested over 8,000 warships would move against Earth within 2 weeks. 8,000 ships against humanity's remaining 250. The math was clear. Humanity would lose unless something changed the equation dramatically. Kang called a meeting of Earth's Security Council. "We face a choice," he told them. "Continue conventional warfare and likely face extinction, or use the antimatter weapons and certainly become what we hate. I want opinions. Defense Coordinator Sangwa Kim spoke first. We must survive. Morality is a luxury for species that are not facing extermination. Use the weapons. Do whatever is necessary. Ambassador Taeyong Shin disagreed. If we use weapons of planetary destruction, we prove the Council right. We become the threat they claimed we were. We lose the moral high ground that justifies this war. Moral high ground does not matter when you are dead, Admiral Nam said coldly. They executed Park without trial. They refused every peace offer. They chose this war. Let them live with the consequences. Governor Kyungmin Roh of New Seoul had tears in her eyes. My world, Park's birthplace, has been preparing evacuation plans in case the Council breaks through. 3 billion people trying to flee on ships that can carry maybe 100 million. I have been making lists of who lives and who dies. Do not talk to me about morality. Do whatever keeps my people alive. The debate continued for hours. Finally, Kang raised his hand for silence. We will demonstrate the weapon on an uninhabited target. We will show the Council what we can do. Then we will offer peace one more time. If they refuse, we use the weapons on military targets only. Uninhabited stations, supply depots, and shipyards. We do not target civilian populations unless they give us no other choice. And if they give us no other choice? Shin asked quietly. Kang's face was hard. Then we do what humans have always done. We survive. The target chosen for demonstration was Talvos 4, an uninhabited mining world in Korthak's territory. The planet was rich in rare minerals but had no permanent population. It was valuable economically but worthless strategically. It was also highly visible, close enough to major shipping lanes that thousands of ships would witness the result. Captain Ji-won Baek commanded the stealth ship Silent Thunder. She had volunteered for this mission knowing it would make her the most hated human in the galaxy. Her crew consisted of 12 people, all volunteers, all aware that history would judge them harshly. Approaching Talvos 4, reported Navigation Officer Min Ji-han. No enemy contacts. We are undetected. Ji-won checked her orders one final time. The command code from President Kang himself. Authorization to use antimatter weapons. She had hoped her entire career that she would never see such orders. Weapons status of the Lance? Armed and ready, replied Weapons Officer Taejun Seo. Containment field stable. Targeting systems locked on the planet's southern continent. Launch when ready, Ji-won said. Her voice did not shake, but her hands gripped the armrests of her chair tightly. The missile launched silently in the vacuum of space. It covered the distance to Talvos 4 in 3 minutes, moving at relativistic speeds. The containment field remained stable until the warhead penetrated the planet's atmosphere. Then, exactly as designed, the field collapsed. 5 kilograms of antimatter met 5 kilograms of matter. The resulting explosion was visible from 50 light-years away. The southern continent of Talvos 4 simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. The shockwave cracked the planet's crust. Volcanoes erupted across the surface. Within minutes, the atmosphere was choked with ash and debris. Within hours, the planet was dead, transformed from a habitable world into a lifeless rock. Ji-won watched the readings in silence. She had just killed a planet. The fact that no one lived there did not make her feel better. Send the message, she ordered. The message was broadcast on all frequencies to every species in the galaxy. President Kang appeared on screen, his face grave. This is Earth's second message to the Galactic Council. You have seen what happened to Talvos 4. This is an antimatter weapon. We have 247 of them. Each one can do what you just witnessed. We did not want to build these weapons. We did not want to use them. But you forced our hand. We offer peace one final time. Acknowledge that Ji-hoon Park was innocent. Provide full reparations to his family. Grant humanity full council membership with veto authority. Agree to independent judicial oversight to prevent future injustices. Accept these terms and the war ends immediately. Refuse and we will use these weapons on every military target in council space. Your fleets, your shipyards, your supply bases, all of them will share Talvos 4's fate. You have 72 hours to respond. Choose wisely. The galaxy reacted with horror. The council species had never seen such destructive power used so casually. Even humanity's allies, the neutral species that had sympathized with Earth's cause, pulled back in fear. Antimatter weapons were theoretical nightmares made real. On Earth, protests erupted. Millions of humans took to the streets demanding the government stop using such terrible weapons. Counselor Yunahan led the opposition, speaking to crowds numbering in the millions. We fight for justice, but we become murderers in the process. We must find another way. But in military headquarters, Admiral Nam studied the Council's fleet movements. They had not slowed down. If anything, they were accelerating their attack plans. They are calling our bluff, she told President Kang. They still believe we will not use these weapons on inhabited targets. Will we? Kang asked. Nam looked at him steadily. Will you let humanity go extinct to maintain moral purity? Will you sacrifice 300 billion people to avoid becoming a monster? Because those are the choices. Use the weapons or lose the war. Kang had no answer. He could only wait for the Council's response and hope that somewhere in the galaxy, someone valued peace more than pride. Part 5. The Price of Peace. The 72 hours passed in tense silence. The Council did not respond to Earth's ultimatum. Instead, their fleet continued assembling at the border of human space. 8,000 warships from 43 species, the largest armada ever gathered in galactic history. Admiral Nam watched the sensor readings and knew that humanity's conventional forces could not stop such an overwhelming attack. They are not taking us seriously, she told President Kang. They still believe we will not use antimatter weapons on inhabited worlds. They think the destruction of Talvos 4 was our limit. Maybe they are right to think that, Kang replied. I have read the casualty estimates. If we use these weapons on inhabited systems, the death toll will be measured in billions. Can I authorize that? Can you? Before Nam could answer, Communications Officer Hyaminu interrupted. Mr. President, we are receiving a priority message from the Council. High Arbiter Velthron is requesting a private channel. Kang exchanged glances with Nam. Put him through. Record everything. Velthron's reptilian face appeared on screen. He looked older than before, tired. President Kang, I am contacting you without the Council's knowledge. What I am about to say is treason, but I believe it is necessary. I am listening, Kang said carefully. The Council is planning a final assault on Earth. They intend to destroy your homeworld and all major colonies simultaneously. They believe this will end human resistance once and for all. I have tried to advocate for peace, but I am outvoted. The major powers want total victory. Why are you telling me this? Velthron hesitated. Because I was wrong. I participated in Park's execution because I believed it would keep humanity in check. I did not understand what I was doing. Your species fights differently than we do. You fight as though every battle is your last. We fight as though there will always be another day. That difference makes you stronger. Is this a surrender? Kang asked. No, the Council will never surrender publicly. It would destroy our authority. But I can offer something else. A performance. A staged battle where both sides can claim victory and justify peace to their populations. You get the terms you demanded. We maintain the appearance of strength. The war ends. Kang was silent for a long moment. And if I refuse? If I demand real surrender? Then we all die, Velthron said simply. Your antimatter weapons will kill billions. Our fleet will destroy Earth. In the end, both civilizations lose. Is that justice? Is that what Park would have wanted? Kang looked at Admiral Nam, who nodded slightly. Send me the details, Kang said. I will consider your proposal. Over the next week, secret negotiations took place through secure channels. Ambassador Taeyong Shin met with Velthron multiple times, working out the details of what they called the Treaty of Centauri. The terms were everything humanity had demanded: full acknowledgement of Park's innocence, financial reparations, permanent council membership with veto power, independent judicial oversight. But it would be presented as a mutual agreement, not a surrender. The final battle would take place at Alpha Centauri, humanity's closest neighbor star. Both fleets would engage in combat with pre-coordinated targeting to minimize actual casualties while providing spectacular footage for their respective populations. After 6 hours, both sides would call for ceasefire simultaneously. It is a lie, Counselor Yunahan said when she learned of the plan. We tell our people we won through strength when actually we won through negotiation. Does it matter? Kang replied. The war ends. No more deaths. Humanity gets justice for Park. Is the truth more important than peace? Yes, Han said firmly. We should tell people what really happened. That both sides came to their senses, that we chose peace over pride. And then what? Admiral Nam interjected. Half of humanity wants complete victory. They want the Council destroyed. If we admit we negotiated, they will call it weakness. The war will continue because our own people will not accept peace. Sometimes lies are necessary for survival. Han left the meeting in disgust, but she did not leak the truth. She understood that sometimes leaders must carry burdens their people cannot. The fleets met at Alpha Centauri exactly as planned. Admiral Nam commanded humanity's 243 remaining warships. Fleet Master Corthenax of the Veldran Concordat led the Council's 8,000 vessels. Both commanders had their orders. Fight convincingly. Minimize casualties. Allow both sides to declare victory. The battle was broadcast live across the galaxy. Human and Council ships exchanged fire in what appeared to be desperate combat. Ships on both sides took damage, some catastrophically, but the targeting was carefully controlled. Crew members who were killed died because of accidents, not malice. It was war as theater, violence as performance. Captain Hewan Lee, veteran of the first battle at the Korthax system, found it surreal. She fired on Council ships knowing they were deliberately missing their critical systems. They returned fire, scarring her hull but avoiding her reactors. "This is insane," she muttered to her crew. "We are pretending to kill each other." "Better than actually killing each other," replied Commander Junho Park. After 6 hours, as agreed, both President Kang and High Arbiter Velthran called for ceasefire. The fighting stopped immediately. Both leaders appeared on screens across their territories, announcing that peace terms had been reached. The Treaty of Centauri was signed 3 days later. Earth got everything it wanted, carefully worded to allow the Council to claim they had granted concessions voluntarily. A monument was built at Alpha Centauri, a massive statue of Jihoon Park extending his hand in friendship. The inscription read in every galactic language, "When justice fails, all civilizations pay the price." Humanity celebrated. 300 billion people rejoiced that the war was over, and that Earth had won justice for Park. But some, like Counselor Han and Captain Lee, felt hollow inside. They had won, but not through the strength they had claimed. They had won because an enemy had chosen peace over pride. 5 years passed. Humanity took its permanent seat on the Galactic Council with veto authority. Ambassador Shin became Earth's chief representative, carefully managing relationships with species that still feared human aggression. The galaxy entered an era of unprecedented peace, not because civilizations had learned to love each other, but because they feared what humanity might do. President Kang, now retired, visited Jihoon Park's grave on Earth. Park's widow, Suman, met him there. She was older now, gray-haired, but her eyes were still sharp. "Was it worth it?" she asked. "All those deaths? All that destruction? Did we really get justice for my husband?" Kang had no easy answer. "Your husband wanted peace through understanding. We got peace through fear. History will judge whether that was enough. And what do you think? I think your husband was right. But I also think he died before he could learn that sometimes the galaxy does not care about right and wrong. It only cares about power. We made the galaxy respect us. Whether they understand us is a different question." Suman nodded slowly. He would have hated what we became, but he would have understood why. On the council floor, Ambassador Shin cast humanity's first veto, stopping a resolution that would have unfairly sanctioned a smaller species for resource violations. The other species backed down immediately. No one wanted to test whether humanity was still willing to use antimatter weapons. Admiral Nam, still serving as fleet commander, watched the proceedings from Earth. She felt no satisfaction. Humanity had become the galaxy's enforcer through fear. Every dispute now ended with species asking themselves, "What will the humans do?" It kept the peace, but it was a peace built on terror. "We won," she said to her staff. "We saved humanity. We got justice for Park. But somewhere along the way, we became the thing the galaxy feared most. We became the monsters they claimed we were. Were they wrong to fear us?" asked Captain Haiwan Lee, now promoted to Commodore. "No," Nam admitted. "They were right to fear us. That is what frightens me most." Deep in uncharted space, something ancient stirred. A civilization that had slumbered for millennia detected the antimatter signatures from Talvos 4. Their analysis was precise and concerning. A young species had weaponized antimatter. A young species fought with genocidal intensity. A young species had forced the Galactic Council to surrender. The ancient empire's war minds, artificial intelligences older than most stars, studied humanity's tactics. They recognized patterns, aggression, adaptation, willingness to sacrifice. These were the traits of a predator species, something rare in the galaxy. Most civilizations evolved past such brutality. Humanity had not. They had taken their violence to the stars. The war minds calculated probabilities. In 500 years, maybe less, humanity would expand into contested sectors. They would encounter other predator species. The resulting wars would destabilize the galaxy. Better to eliminate the threat now while humanity was still weak. A single message transmitted toward human space. It would take years to arrive, traveling at light speed. The message was simple, written in flawless Korean, Yurinun Godgamnida. We are coming soon. On Earth, the message would arrive too late for preparation. Humanity had won one war. They had proved they could fight the galaxy and survive. But they were about to learn that survival was not the same as victory.